Drill Sergeant. Drill number 8. Biblical spiritual warfare. Another nugget for fiery trials. Jewels being collected by God. Let me say this again. Biblical spiritual warfare. Though the Old Testament is replete with illustrations of spiritual warfare such as the Battle of Jericho, Jehoshaphat and his singers, and David and Goliath, the word war or warfare only occurred 5 times in the entire New Testament. That is pretty remarkable when you consider how much talk there is about spiritual warfare. These Old Testament true life stories of how God's army, Israel, defeated both physical adversaries and spiritual adversaries were written for our instruction and admonition. Let me say this again. It was written for our instruction and admonition. This is why Paul tells us, now all these things happen unto them for samples or for examples. That's why the drill sergeant is giving you samples and examples. And they are written for our admonition, upon whom the ends of the world are come. That's 1 Corinthians 10 and 11. Certainly it is true that by studying the battles of Old Testament Israel, we can ascertain much needed revelation about conquering the invisible foes that come to attack and try to destroy the church of Jesus Christ. However, since the terms war and warfare are used so often today, it is imperative for us to build a doctrinal understanding of how the words war and warfare were used in the New Testament. Of the 5 times that the words war and warfare, taken from the word stratos, are used in the New Testament, they are never once used in connection with the devil. For instance, both the terms war and warfare are used in 2 Corinthians 10, 3 through 5 to denote mental bondages that must be pulled down. Again, I'm going to tell you, it refers to mental bondages that must be pulled down. While it is true that these bondages and strongholds in the mind may have first attached themselves to us in the past, when we were still under Satan's control, we must keep these verses in their proper context. In context, these verses are about making an immovable decision to take charge of one's mind and to take thoughts of the mind captive. Let's hear this again. To take thoughts of the mind captive. The word war is used in 1 Timothy 1 and 18 in connection with a prophetic utterance that was spoken over Timothy. Paul commanded Timothy to remember the prophecies that had been spoken over him, that by them he might war a good warfare. The words war and warfare used in this verse were meant to admonish Timothy to stay in the fight of faith and to be faithful to the call of God on his life. Once again, the words war and warfare in this verse have nothing to do specifically with the devil. In 2 Timothy 2 and 4, the word warreth is used once again. Paul says, no man that warreth entangleth himself with the affairs of this life, that he may please him who have chosen him to be a soldier. The word warreth in this verse has nothing to do with the devil specifically either. Rather, Paul is exhorting Timothy to keep his life clear of clutter, to be single-minded, and to stay committed to the call of God on his life regardless of the cost. You hear me? I'm telling you again, regardless of the cost. See, soldiers stay committed to the call, and the call of God is the same, regardless of the cost of their life. So many have given their life for the service. Then James 4:1, the word war is used again, this time to describe the flesh, not the devil. It's talking about the flesh. According to James, spiritual warfare is primarily about fighting fleshly lusts that come to destroy spiritual growth and development. And in 1 Peter 2:11, Peter uses the word war in the same way to vividly describe fleshly lusts that war against the soul. Therefore, once again, the word war is used not to describe the activity of the devil, but rather it is used to describe the flesh's attempt to conquer and subdue the mind. Let me say this to you again. It said it is used to describe the flesh's attempt to conquer and to subdue the mind. See, you got to watch that. You got to guard that mind. In light of this, it is abundantly clear that the New Testament usage of the words war and warfare primarily has to do with conquering the flesh and taking charge of one's mind. Yes, the devil may attack the mind, and he may attempt to energize the flesh to work against us. However, if the mind and the flesh are kept under the control of the Holy Spirit, then the majority of the spiritual warfare you will encounter in life will already have been settled. Remember this, there is an attack and a war upon you, your flesh, and your mind. Just another nugget from the drill sergeant. Biblical, spiritual warfare. Drill sergeant.